What's up, everybody? Okay, what's up, everybody? All right, I feel like it's a quiet Wednesday. All right, is everyone ready to do this? We got a great guest for you today. So, welcome to Stories of Hope. This is number 26, I believe. Hello. Tell me where you're all from so I know. And then we will dive right in. I always like to shout out where everybody's from. What's up, Nagaland? You doing good? Good. I'm really good. You're doing good. I'm really good too. Okay, so today's been a good day. Numbers don't lie. So here it is. First off, welcome to Stories of Hope. Thank you so much. My name is Daniel Weber. I hope you're enjoying. And that's it. If you've come here before, thank you again for coming. And if you've not been here and today's your first day, well, then welcome. So here we go. Without further ado, I'm going to dive right into a couple of interesting things that are going on today. Not too many crazy things going on. A lot of vaccine stuff. I'm just going to adjust that. A lot of vaccine stuff going on. But first, thank you to the frontline workers, to the journalists, to everybody. What's up, Muscat? How you doing? What's up, Kerala? Where else is everybody from? You can keep telling me. So you could always check out these episodes on Facebook, YouTube, IGTV. We'll keep repeating them. We'll get them going so you guys can hear them because I talk very fast and you might not catch everything. Today there was 1.36 lakh new cases. Now it's just a little bit higher than yesterday, but there was more testing. There was a little over 2 million tests that were done. And what's up, New Delhi? And that's really good. There is 344 districts are showing a positivity rate of below 5%. That's like amazing for India, especially. That's nearly half of the districts. There are 714 districts in India. Now, with that being said, the discharges from the hospital have been pretty much every day recently. More than 100,000 discharges, more than there were of new cases. That is great. Now, on to vaccines. Russia's COVID-19 vaccine, which is Covivac or something, I don't know what it's called, has shown a success rate of 80%. That is very good because there are a lot of those coming to India. 3 million were delivered yesterday. That was the third shipment to India besides Covax and Covishield. So we are getting vaccines in, which is good because that's what we need. Now, I got to understand something. What's up, Indonesia? How you doing, Elza? I like that. Indonesia. Yes, Sputnik. That's right. I don't know why I called it something else, Mr. Kesha Rajan. I don't know why I just called it something. That was really weird. Yeah, Sputnik V. So correct. 80% effectiveness, which is good, or efficiency, which they say. And that is, thank God. That's pretty good. And like I said, there was already 3 million distributed yesterday. Stop saying bad words. Oh. Sometimes I curse and I don't even realize I'm doing it. Was that to me? I don't even mean to do that. I think it's just in my language. I'm sorry about that. Now we got to discuss something about our neighbor here in India, which is Pakistan. So, Pakistan. They reported that today they had 2,000 new cases. I'm sorry, not even. 1,843 new cases. So, can we put that in perspective for 1 minute? You're telling me that all of Pakistan only had 1,843 new cases? I do not know that I actually agree with that. So if you're from Pakistan, you might want to, sway the government into testing more. If they're reporting 1,800 new cases, then I'm going to probably say they probably took 2,000 tests only because there is no chance that they only have 1,800 cases. So they might want to provide real data that will help everyone out, especially because they are a neighbor. Now, World Health Organization, just so you know, the B1617 variant that is in India is called the Delta variant. We discussed this yesterday, so you'll be hearing that a lot in the news. All right. My next guest is Manoj. Now, Manoj heads the India Relief Foundation. We are going to get him in here. He is doing amazing work, and I think it's important that you guys hear from him because maybe he can provide some special resources that you might need. Let's see if we can get him in. There he is. Let's request him to talk. We're going to chat about all he's doing because it's important. Hello.
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
How are you, sir? And thank you
Good,
for.
wonderful to be here. Heard such great things about you from our common friend Raj Nayak. So he said you
Oh,
should
yes.
talk to Daniel, and thanks to him, we are
Raj,
together.
I have a very long relationship with Raj Nayak. He is
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the reasons that we came to India 10 years ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Actually, my daughters and his daughters were in the same school. So we literally
Oh, very
saw
nice.
our kids grow together.
Oh,
Yeah.
very nice. He was the one who signed off on Sunny and myself coming here 10 years ago.
Oh, he's one of the finest human
Yeah.
beings one will know. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, truly, true gentleman. So we are going to dive
Yes.
right in. Please introduce yourself.
Sorry, yeah. So my name is Manoj Gursahani, and I actually run a foundation called the Indian Relief Foundation. And there, our sole purpose is service to mankind. And we do it in various forms. We have a center near Kalyan right now where we do a lot of medical projects. So my focus area, honestly, what I feel needs to be worked on, there are several areas, but my focus area is healthcare. And in healthcare, we have a mobile medical van at our center where we do day-to-day care, and we have a mobile van moving to various villages, doctors, nurses, etc. We
Okay.
are also introducing aspects like early screening for diabetes, oral cancer, breast cancer, using artificial intelligence and other devices so we can catch it earlier.
But
Because as
before we get into all of what you're doing, I have to start. We're going to get into all that. I need to back up. What were you doing before the pandemic? What was your day job? What was going on before March 2020? Then we will get into everything you are doing.
I think that's a good point, Daniel. So yeah, so before that, I mean, I am a businessman, a serial entrepreneur. I run my own healthcare startup firm, and and so that's what kept me busy in terms of, and plus I work with various firms on a consulting basis, on a global consulting, plus also have a lot of relationship with various consulates and others where we do B2B kind of global marketing. So that's used to take up most of my time. I can answer
Okay,
that
that's your day to
question.
day. And then come March 2020, then when the pandemic started, you just shifted gears, or you are still continuing all that other work?
No, so we had to continue, and obviously it all hit us, and exactly as you said last year. So I was more than that a very a face-to-face person. We used to go that, and I'll come to that point. I mean, my kids used to complain, Dad, you're not there for dinner 5 days in a year. That was the kind of lifestyle one had. And, meeting people socially, etc. Suddenly, when the pandemic came, it hit at least me and I think rest of the world and say, oh my God, is this what life is going to be all about? And one took a
Right.
pause and was little, think what's going on. But then we realized acceptance came in and said, okay, now
Oh, you're
we make a change. And that's how we said, let's try doing something which is more important to mankind. And I already had the foundation. That's why I dived deeper into it.
okay. So,
Yeah.
um, now, I mean, for me, for instance, when the pandemic hit, I sort of tried to take care of my family, myself. But by the time the second wave hit, it really hit me about what was going on in the community and became sort of how can I help other people? So, did you have between the first wave and the second wave something different? Did you think the second wave hit you harder as well, mentally and personally?
Yeah. So the first wave was all about not knowing the devil, and you were all entrapped, and suddenly you got cut off, and the problem. So personally, we had to repivot ourselves. But when we started looking at the first wave, the challenges for the outside world from a social standpoint of view, the lens was looking at more the challenge was the migratory labor moving around. So they suddenly had to move from Bombay and other cities to their respective villages, etc. So that I felt I was very moved by that their plight because it was unannounced, it happened so soon, nobody knew
Yeah.
what's going on. And that's why it actually woke us up and we saw on various social media platforms that hey, guys are gearing up to do this. So I reached out to my Rotary Club, my Lions Club, whatever resources I had to see that what can. So that was the seeding of what came in my mind.
Very nice. Now tell me, currently, tell me and everybody what is going on. I know that you are, first off, let's talk about daily workers, daily laborers.
So again, when we do so, I have a team and I have a logistics team and frontline people who do the survey. So when
Okay.
we realize that currently the biggest project we are doing on is feeding people. So when we look at the rural population and even daily wage workers who earn their living by literally, if they don't have a day job, they don't have food on the table. So we realize
Right.
that two things are important. One is freshly cooked meals, and in our
Yes.
setup in the foundation in Kalyan, we have a central kitchen. So, and the guys were doing nothing because we had stopped work because of the pandemic and there were shutdowns, so there were no visitors allowed. So I had the resources available. So I said, let me put it to good use. And then we got our cooks there to cook up, fire up meals every day. And then another issue was locate places where near railway stations and others where we need
That's what
to.
I was going to ask. How do you locate where the
It
need for?
was
Yeah.
It's a good question. So we had volunteers who went across and actually did a survey and saying, listen, these are areas where there is a problem, there is a need. I'll give you one example. So we started one area, we felt the people don't even need food. So we
Yeah.
were just, my guys, because we had prepared it the first few days, they were just literally giving them packets. Then I
Sure.
said, listen,
Right.
pause, let's identify where there is need. And I've figured out as human ego or nature or whatever, however impoverished you are, you will only stand in queue for a meal when you need it because that's devastating itself. So then
Correct.
we realized there are certain pockets and we identified that, and then it was a regular affair and it's still going on. That was point number one. In the feeding aspect, there was another aspect we realized is there are many families who have the small little humble beginnings or humble belongings, but they don't have the ration kits or the basic day-to-day rice, wheat,
Correct.
oil, etc. to cook up meals for the family. So we again did an exercise of identifying those families and
Okay.
saying, okay, here is what we will give you in a kit. We got the numbers. There are ways to, I don't know whether in, and just for those who are not knowledgeable in that, there is something called as BPL, which is below poverty line activity.
Yes.
And
Yes.
these people are given orange card and yellow card, both for
Oh,
the medical reason and for the food kits for various other social
passion.
causes by the
Gotcha.
government.
Yeah.
So we did that as an identifier where we got the names, got the Aadhaar cards, got the identification, put a list together, then had a frontline team actually distribute and took
Very.
signatures of thumbprint wherever. So the key, Daniel, here is those who are philanthropists, those who want to spend money. There are a lot of good hearts out there, and because you're one of them, literally being a force multiplier and bringing good news, is that they want to see the money going to the right cause. The recipient should be there. So, and I think there are enough donors available. And here I would like to add and acknowledge we have people like Tulsi Trust, Rotary Club of Queen's Necklace, Lions, a lot of foundations who have come forward to really help in this cause.
Well, that's actually was going to be a question. When you started this, was it self-funded?
Yes. So my foundation is funded by the family initially, and then I started tapping the other few friends who are HNIs who are resourceful enough, and told them this is the kind of work that I do. And here again, a question was, so they said, Manoj, don't worry. What do you need? How many meals do you want to do? What medicines do you require? And then help started coming in. So
Oh,
actually, now my role is really becoming managing those resources and ensuring that the supply chain in terms of food, etc.,
oh.
is delivered.
That's
I
what
monitor
happens. It
that.
ends up being logistics and management over the actual physical of giving out food and whatnot. Because yeah, what it takes to probably manage this whole operation now is probably massive. Now tell me something. LBGT community, you're doing work with them. Why specifically? And is there a reason? Are they sort of? Is there an issue with the community getting food and ration kits like anybody else?
So good point. Honestly, I had not thought about the LGBT community. till somebody reached out to me on a WhatsApp because they're probably seeing on social media the kind of work I'm doing
Yeah.
and word travels. And they reached out to me that, listen, there is this one community of LGBT workers and all that. They are in this specific locations. They're literally starving. They don't have, food on the table. So
So
that
why
was the,
them though? But what I don't understand that is why are they specifically starving other than other
so
people?
So I think the transvestite among the LGBT, especially, they're the ones who are, what I realize, and I did not know that, let me genuinely accept that. But then some of them, the transvestite were thrown out of the houses in the past, not because of pandemic, because they
Oh,
realized, and
yeah,
then they became sex workers, etc., etc. And they were, also shunted from society. So at such
yeah.
vulnerable times, they are in that
Very
position.
different. Yeah, in India, it's much different the way
Yeah.
the social community and the family community and the structure is when towards the LGBT community, which is evolving. But yes, it's a very different.
Yeah.
I don't know the correct word, but yes. Okay, so now you've been providing ration kits as well for the community.
So yes, so we started with a few lot and now we have reached out to more. Now again, here I'll tell you, and for those who are listening, for people like us, so I feel when you connect, so what I'm doing is connecting the dot. So and honestly, and those that are listeners, we are actually looking out for currently in Mumbai legitimate organizations, NGOs, individuals who can help us do more work, let's say with the LGBT community. So I have
Yeah,
pockets of few, their heads or whatever, they reach out because then like someone allowing me to spread meals, I can also make others influencers so that we have supply chain in that thing. So happy to, it's a shout out for those who know certain sections of LGBT community who require in certain areas of Bombay, they can reach out to me and, happy to connect with them and see whatever best I can do.
very nice. I like that. Very nice. Now tell me, as far as resources, hospital beds, getting people vaccinated, getting people to docs, telehealth. Tell me. I know you're involved in that heavily. Tell us a little bit about that.
So as I put in my name, healthcare evangelist. So my daughter is a doctor. She's an MD anesthesiologist. She's the last year of residency. My dad used to do a lot of medical social work, especially dealing with medical. So I took that natural interest, and I realized in India, and then I'll come to the point of the question you asked me, that the healthcare industry was pandemic has actually opened up. Is that India is spending less than 1.5% of GDP on healthcare. Because
Correct.
of that, there is one doctor over 100,000 patients. There is
Right.
so many
Yeah.
beds. So it's a
Yeah.
mismatch. And as you go to tier two, tier three towns, I can't even talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. The
That
ratio
was
is so
always
small. Correct.
that was always there. Pandemic and such kind of black swan events really opened that up.
Correct.
So so that was the etymology of my interest in healthcare to change. When this came in, suddenly because of already the threadbare problem, what was the biggest challenge? People are not getting beds. People, if they're getting beds, they are not getting isolation centers. They are
Yeah.
not getting
Correct.
ICU beds, etc., etc. Then again, with I am also connected with an organization. There's a charitable hospital near Sion called Lion Tarachun Bapa. I'm an advisor. I'm like a team over there. So through that network, plus few other, there's a few hospitals which I knew. I said, let me reach out to them because I knew some of them were COVID hospital and reach out to them and
Correct.
tell them, listen, hey guys, but before that, I used to filter how serious the problem was. Because also what happened during the pandemic, everybody thought they had COVID and wanted to rush to the hospital.
I know, but everybody went, and then the system was overburdened. We sort of did the
And
same
then
thing.
the
We'd
beds
say,
are not available.
stay home, contact a doctor first, talk on the phone. Let's walk through this for a day or two. Don't just line up at the hospital. That's not helping, actually.
Sorry, sometimes the call comes in long. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
happened.
So,
And then,
yeah, we can't have people
there's
lining up
lots
at the
of
hospital because that just overburdens.
So then people started reaching out. We formed a group, and I used to tell them filter this list, send it to me in this format, and used to reach out wherever we could help. Being a facilitator,
Yeah.
so that's one thing in terms of facilitation of the hospital beds. Then we realized some people need oxygenators because there are some who did not need to get bed, but they were in between. So
Correct.
this was through my Rotary Club of Queens Necklace project. We reached out to the team as I'm part of the team and said, listen, hey guys, can anybody donate concentrators? We got 50 or 60 concentrators. So
Yeah.
what we did, we created a call center kind of a thing, helpline, put the numbers out and said, hey, we have the concentrator. In fact, in my house, there are about 40 concentrators right now. So,
Yeah.
so
So at
people
least
used
you
to
have access
call.
to them to give out.
So
Correct.
back-end demand, they come back and say, okay, we had a filter again there. What is the pulse oxygen saturation, etc., etc. And then and this was a free service. Only thing, we wanted a reference for those who are picking up the oxygenator because it's an expensive
Of
45,000
course.
plus piece.
Of
So
course.
that, and we used to give it to them for 7 to 10 days. So that was the second part from a standpoint, and then usual getting medication, etc., which was honestly everybody wanted, but which was
Yeah.
a tougher thing to accomplish.
Yeah. Do you
So
think that we've got to this point because the state or the central government sort of didn't have a centralized network to deal with who needs what? Because we really got into this space, which is why you're on my program and why I've had, 26 other people so far, is that these are all individuals that weren't specializing in this, but now are specializing in this to help other humans, their neighbors, their community. So how did it get to this point that it is just the everyday people like you and I that are doing this and not a centralized network that is doing this?
So I think it's a very good question, and without being politically correct about it,
Correct.
I will
I'm
share
not
that.
for or against. Yeah, I'm just saying
No,
what
no,
is.
I'm just sharing that in candidly.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. First of all, the healthcare is a very interesting subject because it's a state subject. So we are a federal kind of thing. So healthcare is a state subject, and there is a central commitment to the every state. I feel the federal and the state all got caught on their back foot, and they
But
underestimated.
why? But why is that? Everyone else has gone through in the West and Europe has gone through a second and third wave. So why is that? That's not really fair for them to say, "Oh, we are surprised,"
I
because they
totally
can't.
agree with that. So, Daniel, I totally agree with you. And this, considering that we have the best doctors in the world, we have the best epidemiologists in the world. So, the failure, was a big failure because they said, okay, we have conquered, we are the vaccination producers, blah, blah, blue, blue.
Yeah.
And we suddenly staring in the face, we're busy with election, other things, which we all know that. And based on all that, suddenly we realized, guys, this is here. And then they could not control it, could not handle it. And panic spread, everybody is getting into this typical blame game, and the poor patients are suffering. We have sent
Correct.
pictures of all over the sad state. So I feel so that happened.
I think your network stopped for a minute.
We were caught in that situation, and because of that, yeah. So it was sad, challenging, and then so the best thing was citizens movement, people like you, me,
Amazing, right? Amazing.
its best.
Oh, I think the network is.
I saw that personally, and another.
I agree, and I say that about India all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So I wish we had learned. Now I'll bring another point. Already cases are flattened down. There is no, in Bombay, there is, I mean, in terms of the demand for oxygenators, is none. You will not believe it now. I was reading not even got the third wave. Don't let the guards down. I think the second lesson was important. Oxygen plants are coming in. Medicines have to be there. We need to vaccinate, which is another subject we'll talk about. So I think
Right.
we need to be proactive about the third wave. Let's hope it doesn't come. But
Do
if
you
it
think?
comes, we should be ready.
Do you think that? I mean, the central government's that's something different. Do you think the state will be prepared for the third wave, Maharashtra?
So I feel, honestly, let me give brownie points to state of Maharashtra here. I
Me
think
too.
they deserve that
I think they've done an amazing job.
because they have been on the ball.
Yeah.
I have seen, them when we follow them on Twitter, etc., etc. They've been on the ball. Look at vaccinations for students going abroad. So somebody's thinking
I
there.
know. I think it's amazing. I think that's amazing for
So
universities. Yes.
So somebody is thinking there, somebody is thinking proactively, thinking the next steps. And
Correct.
because of thinking the next steps, I feel every state government now will not let their guard down. They are already ramping up capacity for the third wave. I know hospitals which have already built watts, because if you hear what is coming in from epidemiologists, it could hit the younger generation. So they are gearing up for that.
Correct. They don't
So
really
this
know
time
that. They've been
around,
saying that,
I
but
think
they
this
don't.
time around we'll be on a much stronger wicket, is my personal belief. Yeah.
So yes, I think that we will be better off. The reason they say the young people is because more adults will be vaccinated by then. So obviously the young will be the most vulnerable population, but there's no proof that actually a third wave affects young people. So I don't want to spread fear to people because there's enough fear
Yeah.
out there already between journalists and everything else. So with that being said, last thing I want to talk about before I let you go, we should keep the show pretty short. Senior citizens. You focused on senior citizens as well, seniors. Do you think that seniors are sort of in the clear now because they have been getting vaccinated and sort of we are helping with therapeutics, or are they still at high risk?
No, so I'm glad you brought that point up. And so I'll give you a quick background. My interest in senior citizen is because of an organization called Graceful Living. This is
Okay.
by the Chen Wright Trust, and those guys are really worked. And there's another buddy, Raju Hirani, all heard about. He's one of India's best
Yes.
filmmakers.
Yes.
He's supporting us from the back end, and his brother-in-law. Everybody's involved. Support this initiative, and it is under a title called Graceful Living. So I've been doing that work with them since a long time. What we realize, they are the most vulnerable. So I'll give you some specific examples. A, most of them, some of them have comorbidity. So because of comorbidity, they're scared to step out. Earlier,
Correct.
before the pandemic, they used to go to the parks, they used to go to the laughter clubs, they used to have their own small bonhomie. That
Yeah.
stopped. Some
Correct.
of them are living at homes with caregivers. They are isolated. They are listening to all kinds of stories. So they are freaked
I
out.
know. This I know. Yeah.
So that is one part. Now, then on top of that, there was no situation on the vaccine being clear. Now it's getting better. So
Correct.
some of them are not got vaccinated. So they didn't know whether their caregivers could come home or no. But that gave birth to telemedicine in India, and it got regulated. So that was a good part. So
Yes.
yes, vulnerable population, they are still scared. So and the caregivers had to be educated more on how to deal with their parents or etc. who were senior citizens. And so I think there is still a lot of work needs to be going there, because they are still because they are dealing with various issues. They are dealing with Alzheimer's, they're dealing with other issues. Pandemic is for
Correct.
COVID is not the only one. And on
Correct.
top of that, they are still scared today. If they have any elective surgeries, cataract, they can't go to a hospital because they might pick up COVID. So by the way, all other surgeries are kept at the back.
I know, which is a whole another catch 22. You need to get something done, but you can't because you're afraid of everything else. So, yes. I'm going to ask you one question, which is how I usually end. When do you predict or foresee this being done?
As in what being done?
As in life being, it'll never be normal, but will it be, when will it be, you think, a month, a year, more, 6 months, 10 months, where it's a little bit like, hey, you know what? The guard can be let down. Now it's more
So I'm an
like
eternal
flu,
optimist.
or now it's more
I'm
like
an eternal Daniel, being an eternal optimist. I read a news article today in London and England. There was the first time there were no deaths. So I was very happy to hear that. So
yeah,
I think if we do the vaccination right,
yeah,
and if we gain that and follow what the Western countries have done, and slowly, steadily follow that path and bring all the learnings and implicate or rather evaluate the learnings and go about it in that fashion, and not just open it up because it's all okay.
correct.
Even if and if we do it right, I think year down the line, things would get better. We probably go back to normal life, though there are the doomsday naysayers saying, okay, this is just the beginning of the blah, blah. But as I said, optimist and positive that lessons learned, and there is things being talked about of a universal vaccine, etc., etc. And because of that, I am hopeful. And I've seen one thing, because of the medical community we have, the pharmaceutical backend we have,
Yeah,
now it is galvanizing into action. And if we follow that strict path, not take the eye off the ball, I think we'll be in a much better wicket.
You think though 1 year, huh?
Yeah, I wish it could be 3 months down the line, but
I
depending
predict
on the number of vaccinations.
I predict by December we will have a large stockpile of vaccinations, and the vaccine rollout will have already really taken shape. That maybe we'll hit the I don't know 400 million mark or something, and it'll
Yeah.
make it. People say 70%. I think to get to 70% is very hard in a country like India. I mean, it's even hard in America. And, if you look at the numbers, because you have anti-vax people and you just have, like you said, uneducated or whatever it is. And for so many various reasons, getting to 70% is very hard. But between people that have already gotten COVID and some herd immunity and vaccines, you sort of need to get it together somehow and get these two different dynamics to work. But I hope 6 months.
But
I
I
hope
hope you're right this time, and I hope we can catch over a drink in December in social times.
yeah,
That's what we hope and wish for.
I hope for. So thank you so much, Manoj. Thank you. Please share
Thanks.
the details of India Relief Foundation. I will be sharing it on my platform and elsewhere to the media. Please share everything you're doing with me, any sort of banners or links or anything. We'd love for people to donate. And thank you so much for joining, and please be safe.
Thank you for having me, and you're doing a wonderful job. Keep that activity alive.
Thank you.
5:30. I think people are waiting to hear you.
Thank you.
God
Thank you.
bless you. Continue the good work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Be safe. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Okay, Manoj, he's a true gentleman. Really, basically what we call a local hero. He's doing out of the goodness of his heart. He's helping so many people, and you really got to give him credit for that. Between Indian Relief Foundation, the work he's doing with daily workers and laborers, Ration Kits, LBGT community hospital beds, getting people vaccinated, getting them to go to doctors, telehealth, working with seniors, helping with oxygen. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. So he is remarkable. So I'm going to just check if I'm looking for a buddy of mine. Let's see if he's here. Should I bring him in? I don't know if he's here. He was on before. I want to give a shout out. I haven't spoken to this guy in forever. Let's call him in. Let's see if Nick is here. Let's see. Is Nick here? Is Nick here? If Nick's here, it would be really great. It would be awesome. Any questions? Anybody want to ask, or anything at all? Tell me where you're from. You can do that, or you can ask some questions, and then we're going to go. I'm going to see if this gentleman, Mr. Nick Greystone, wants to join the live. If he's here, I'd love to chat with him and see what he's doing. He is in New York. Anyone? All right. I don't think he's here. So I want to take a couple questions. Any questions? Hello. Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Please ask any questions, any interesting questions before I go. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. All a bunch of hellos. Okay, Nick isn't available to join, so we're going to go. Once again, thank you for joining Stories to Hope. Tomorrow, we have the COVID helpline people who have started the COVID helpline. They're going to be on. They're going to be talking to us about what they're doing. And you can check this out on Facebook, IGTV, or on, where else? On YouTube. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Manoj. You were wonderful. Thank you. My next guest is the COVID helpline, the actual COVID helpline. There it comes. See you. Bye.